In this video, I'd like to look at a bash script that includes some ifs and sort of test some conditions and Boolean conditions and the if-elif-else structure, and also look at some regular expressions. So here's our simple little program. We are asking, echoing out, do you agree, yes or no, reading the answer, and then asking a sort of series of questions about the user's answers. So even though we prompted with yes or no, they might have answered maybe. And so the first branch here is if they've answered maybe, then I'll echo out something. Otherwise, I'll go on and ask a follow-up question. But let's just show that the sort of maybe answer. So down here, let me run the script. I'll say maybe, and then let me save. I was playing around. I think maybe I forgot to save the script. Maybe. There we go. So if their answer was equal to maybe, then we got this first branch of this if-elif structure. And what I was playing around with, and so I'll talk about that now, was all these spaces it sort of needs. You may know in bash that when you do when you assign a value to a variable, it does not want the spaces on either side of the equal. It wants you to say, if I were assigning answer rather than reading it in, I would say answer equals maybe. It wants no $sign. It wants no space. But when you're asking a question, it wants the space in these square brackets. It wants the space before and after the square bracket. It wants space around the equal. And I have an if and then a then. The semicolon is if I'm putting the then on the same line. I could put the then underneath the if, and then I wouldn't need the semicolon. So that's a sort of a same line sort of thing. Depends on your style, if you like it on the same line or on a different line. Okay, so this is a simple test. Here is, does the answer equal maybe? Make sure we have the spaces. If that answer is false, then we're moving on to ask another question, and this is the elif. And I wanted to ask this time if the answer was yes, but I wanted to, maybe they're in cap locks or something, and they answered in all caps. So I wanted to do an or, that they could answer small yes or capital yes. And either way, I want to say I agree. So let's just test that. So they answered yes, you do agree. They answer yes, I do agree. Now it's limited, because if I answer a capital Y but small yes, that I said I don't understand your answer. So that's, it doesn't match all possible versions of yes, but it matches the two explicit ones that I gave. And I used for my Boolean OR, the two vertical bars, which might be familiar from, C or Java, JavaScript. But to use that, I ended up sort of doubling the square bracket. So it was square bracket, and all this thing. So if I were to take, so we saw that run. So let's see it not run. Let's take away one set of square brackets and save it and run it. And I'm getting error messages about a missing square bracket, and also it jumped down to the I don't understand your answer. So this type of OR, this vertical bar, double vertical bar OR, it works as an OR, but it requires the doubling of our square brackets here. There's a different Boolean OR. I've used this over here in the nose, and that is this sort of -O. And then that type of ORing does not require the doubling of the square bracket. So let's show that. So if I say no, it's fine. If I say no, it's fine. So just two ways to do a Boolean OR, and just understand that this version requires the doubling of the square bracket. And then finally, I had an else that said, I don't understand. So anything that is not maybe in all small letters, or yes and all small letters are all caps, or no and all smalls are all caps, is going to come down to this else and say, I don't understand your answer. Now, sort of a different approach to this sort of overall problem I want to show using the regular expressions. I'm going to hop over to the other script I have here, the yes/no script. It starts off the same, asking, do you agree, and reading in an answer. And then I have, instead of having explicit answers that I'm going to allow, I'm going to look for patterns, and that is, we do that with regular expressions. So I have a yes regular expression and a no regular expression. And my regular expression over here, in regular expressions, the caret means begins with, and then everything else is in parentheses. And so I'm going to evaluate all these things, and then the caret means it had to begin with. So it had to begin with, and then the vertical bar in a regular expression means an OR. So it had to start with a little y or a capital Y for yes, or yeah, or yeah, or little a or capital A for I or agree, J's for yeah, S for C, O for we, and I put in, I didn't put in D, but I put in DA for da, and then I put it in various versions of da, because I didn't want to use just D because they might write disagree, and that really belongs to no, but I think it's Russians who say da for yes. So this is a pattern that anything that began, so you could put in yellow and it would accept it as yes, because it begins with a Y. So it's, it can lead to some crazy things as well, but you're looking for a pattern rather than explicit values, because you could drive yourself crazy thinking all of the possible answers, but you could say, if they start with a Y, I'm going to call it yes. Similarly, we have the no. So down here, it's no or none or yet or nine, and I put in DI for disagree, and then I don't know, that H, I think is Turkish or something or other. Okay, so let's look at this. Now my script is bash. Yes, no, .sh. And do I agree? Yeah, I agree. So that matched. Do I agree? Yeah. So I don't agree. Do I agree? Perhaps. I don't understand your answer. That's the else. So this is So let's look at the structure. I just looked at the structure of the regular expression. And let's say you're trying to come up with a regular expression. Then they have, just out on the internet that has everything. They have these regular expression testers. So this is one of the first one that comes up. So you put in your expression and then you type things and you see if they match or not. So I start with yes and it matches. I start with perhaps and it doesn't match. If I put in the D, it's not a match, but if I put in a da, it matches. If I put in dis to start disagreeing, it doesn't match. So that's a way to sort of help you develop your regular expressions. But now let's look at the asking the question with the regular expression. It has the doubling of the square brackets. So pay attention to that. It has the spaces galore. So that's an important part of it. And then it has the equal tilde. So that the equal tilde is going to say, I'm looking for a pattern rather than some exact match. So I'm going to match a pattern rather than some explicit exact string. And that testing for regular expressions uses equal tilde as the sort of symbol between the thing you're testing and the pattern. And again, the double square bracket is an important part of this. So I think that's what I wanted to show you in this case. Thanks very much for your attention.